All right, today we're going to tackle a massive question, one that every single growing business faces. How do you actually capture that magic, that essential know-how that makes your best people so darn good, and then share it with everybody else?
So let's just dive right in with the big one. How do you clone your top performer? No, seriously, think about that for a minute. You know who I'm talking about. In every company, every team, there's that one person who just gets it. They're the go-to. What if you could somehow bottle up their instincts, all their clever shortcuts, that wisdom they fought for, and just hand it out to the whole team? That's the core problem we're digging into here.
Okay, so before we can even talk about a solution, we've got to really nail down the problem. Let's call it the knowledge trap. And here's the thing. This isn't about having a bad team. It's actually the opposite. It's the sneaky, hidden cost you pay when you have amazing people, but all their best ideas are just stuck inside their own heads. You've probably heard this called tribal knowledge. It's all that super valuable stuff. You know, the little tricks of the trade, the insights someone only gets after years of doing the job, that just never gets written down. So what happens when that go-to expert gets sick or goes on a well-deserved vacation or, eventually leaves? Poof, all that knowledge just walks right out the door with them. And what are you left with? A huge, frustrating bottleneck. And what's the result of that knowledge gap? Well, it's this super frustrating, never-ending cycle of chase and fix. Right? A newer person on the team makes a mistake, one that was totally preventable, and a senior person has to drop everything they're doing to go put out the fire. It just becomes this constant reactive loop that completely drains the energy and time from everybody. And look, this isn't just some small annoyance. There is a real, tangible, hidden cost to fixing the same mistakes again and again. Think about it. Every single hour spent on an error that shouldn't have happened is an hour you didn't spend on innovation or helping customers or actually growing the business. That hits your bottom line, period. But what if you could just break that cycle for good? That's where this idea of a new kind of playbook comes in. It's all about taking that incredibly valuable but locked away know-how and turning it into something real. A tangible asset that your company can actually use. So this brings us to the solution itself, a system called TaskRipple. Here's the big idea. It captures the know-how that's stuck in your people's heads and turns it into clear, living playbooks. Now, the crucial part here is that it uses these AI-powered feedback loops to constantly refine them. This makes sure the work gets done faster, the same way, every time. It's built to be a dynamic system, not just another static document nobody reads. And if you look at the core mission, you'll see it's about way more than just being efficient. I mean, yeah, it's about buying back time and standardizing your best practices, for sure. But that last point, that's the real key. Blending human insight with AI. The goal here isn't to replace your experts, not at all. It's to take their genius and amplify it, spreading it across the whole organization. So you might be wondering, how does this actually work, in the real world? This next part, from talk to task, is all about that. We're going to break down the process, and you'll see it's designed to be shockingly simple, especially for the experts, the people whose brains we're trying to pick. Okay, check this out. The whole journey is built around your expert. It all kicks off with a simple conversation. We're not talking about filling out some boring form. It's a 30 to 60-minute interview, just a chat. From there, the AI does the first big lift. It transcribes everything and structures a first draft. But then, and this is so important, the human element comes right back in. Your team gets to review it, fact-check it, add their own tips from the trenches. Then, the system takes all that feedback and refines the playbook until everybody agrees, yep, that's it. And it doesn't even stop there. Once it's deployed, it's a living thing. It uses analytics and feedback to keep getting better and better over time. And this might be the best part about the whole experience. The AI is specifically designed to hide all its complexity. Your team doesn't have to learn some new, complicated software. They don't need to become experts in writing AI prompts. Nope, they just talk. They bring the human insight, the real-world genius, and the system does the grunt work of turning all that into a clear, repeatable process. Simple as that. Okay, so this leads to a really critical point. You might be thinking, why is this any different from me just asking a generic AI to write a procedure? Or, just typing something up in a Google Doc?
Well, it all comes down to how human insight meets AI in a really structured, intentional way.
Let's look at the difference. On one hand, you've got the old way. You know, generic SOPs, standard operating procedures. We've all seen them. These big, static documents that someone writes once, they get filed away in some folder, and then they basically just collect digital dust. Nobody ever looks at them again. But on the other side, you have these action-ready playbooks. And the key difference is they are living guides. They're co-created by your actual team and then constantly fine-tuned. They're built to be used, not just stored away. And all of this is powered by a pretty unique engine. First, the discovery part is totally human-centric. It's trying to capture the why behind what people do, not just the how. Then, it uses this first principles approach. Basically, it breaks down the workflow to its most basic parts to see if there's a smarter, faster way to do it. And maybe most important of all, your team helps build it. And that living SOP loop is what guarantees it never gets old and out of date.
So what's the end game here? What's the real outcome of doing all this?
Well, let's talk about the ripple effect. This is where you see how putting these clear, simple steps in place can lead to some seriously big wins for a business.
So what's the actual tangible impact? It's a massive shift in where your team's time goes. You see that big bar on the left? That's all the time and energy just wasted on that chase and fix stuff, rework that shouldn't have to happen in the first place. When you put a clear, shared process into play, you can shrink that wasted time way down, and you convert it into time that's actually available for growth. It's a trade-up. When it comes down to it, it's a really simple but powerful equation. Clear, repeatable steps let you cut out a ton of unnecessary work, and that, in turn, lets you grow faster. It's not about making people work harder, not at all. It's about getting rid of all the friction that was slowing the team down.
I think this quote really nails the core benefit. It clones your best way so everyone wins. See, this isn't about micromanaging people or pointing fingers when they make a mistake. It's about finding what truly works best and then making that wisdom available to everybody. The expert feels like their knowledge is valued. The rest of the team feels empowered because they have a clear path. And the business, it just starts to run like a well-oiled machine. It's a win-win-win.
So we'll just leave you with this one thought to chew on. What if your team's best ideas, their most effective habits, all their smartest solutions, what if they never got lost again? Just think about what that would unlock for your business.